Can I actually pull off inviting my ex-husband to my wedding without it being a total disaster? For most people, planning a wedding is complicated enough without adding an ex-spouse to the guest list. Weddings are emotional events. They bring together family members, old friends, new relationships, and years of personal history. Even under the best circumstances, navigating those dynamics can be challenging. Now imagine inviting the person you were once married to. For many people, that idea sounds uncomfortable. For others, it sounds impossible. Yet for Gina Kirschenheiter, the decision appears surprisingly straightforward. The Real Housewives of Orange County star has been making headlines after revealing that her ex-husband, Matt Kirschenheiter, would be invited to her wedding to fiancé Travis Mullen. Not only that, but Gina has also said that Matt's wife, Britt, would be welcome as well. To some observers, the decision is admirable. To others, it seems like a recipe for awkward moments. The question is simple. Can someone really invite an ex-husband to their wedding without it becoming a disaster? To understand why Gina believes the answer is yes, it's important to understand the journey that brought her to this point. For years, Gina and Matt's relationship was one of the most discussed aspects of her story on reality television. The couple married in 2010 and later separated in 2018 after nearly a decade together. Their divorce became part of Gina's public storyline, exposing painful and deeply personal challenges to a national audience. At the time, few people would have predicted that the former couple would eventually reach a place where they could comfortably attend one another's major life events. Yet that's exactly what appears to have happened. Over time, Gina and Matt focused on rebuilding their relationship as co-parents. Rather than defining their future by the difficulties of their past, they gradually shifted their attention toward raising their 3 children together in the healthiest way possible. According to Gina, that process required a different way of thinking about family. Instead of seeing divorce as the end of a family, she began viewing it as a transformation. The structure changed. The relationships changed. But the family itself remained. That philosophy has become a major theme in Gina's public comments over the years. She has frequently discussed the importance of creating stability for children after divorce. She has emphasized cooperation over conflict and communication over resentment. While that approach is not always easy, Gina has repeatedly suggested that it has helped create a healthier environment for everyone involved. Of course, maintaining a positive co-parenting relationship is one thing. Inviting an ex-spouse to your wedding is something else entirely. For many people, weddings symbolize a fresh start. They represent moving forward. They celebrate a new chapter, including a former spouse, and that celebration may seem contradictory. Yet Gina appears to view the situation differently. Rather than seeing Matt as a symbol of a failed marriage, she appears to see him as an important part of her family's ongoing story. After all, they share 3 children. No matter what happened between them in the past, that connection will always exist. In Gina's view, excluding him from such a major family event might actually feel stranger than inviting him. Her fiancé Travis Mullen reportedly supports that perspective. The couple became engaged in early 2026, after more than 6 years together, and Gina has spoken positively about the blended family they have built. Together, they are raising 6 children from their previous relationships, and have worked hard to create a stable home environment. That blended family dynamic may be one of the biggest reasons the wedding invitation makes sense. For Gina, the wedding is not simply about 2 people getting married. It's also about bringing together an extended family network that already exists. When viewed through that lens, inviting Matt becomes less surprising. In fact, Gina has publicly stated that Matt and Britt would absolutely be included on the guest list, and that they were among the first people she and Travis informed about their engagement. Still, that doesn't mean everyone believes the plan will be easy. Critics point out that emotions can surface unexpectedly at weddings. Old memories can return. Family tensions can emerge. Even people who generally get along may find themselves feeling emotional during major life events. Those concerns are understandable. After all, human relationships are complicated. Divorce often leaves behind a mixture of emotions that don't disappear overnight. Even years later, certain moments can bring back memories of the past. That's one reason why many people avoid situations involving former partners altogether. Yet supporters argue that Gina's situation demonstrates how much healing can occur over time. The fact that she and Matt are reportedly able to support one another's happiness represents significant progress compared to where they once were. Many fans view that growth as encouraging. Rather than remaining trapped in conflict, they have found a way to move forward. For parents, that kind of progress can have an especially meaningful impact. Children often benefit when parents communicate effectively and minimize conflict. While no family dynamic is perfect, cooperation can create a more stable environment. That reality helps explain why Gina frequently emphasizes her children's well-being when discussing her relationship with Matt. The wedding invitation appears to be another extension of that mindset. Rather than forcing family members to choose sides or navigate uncomfortable divisions, Gina seems determined to create an atmosphere of inclusion. Whether that approach succeeds remains to be seen. Every wedding is different. Every family is different. And every relationship carries its own unique history. Yet the story raises an interesting question about modern families. As divorce becomes increasingly common, and blended families continue growing, traditional ideas about relationships are evolving. People are finding new ways to define family, new ways to co-parent, new ways to celebrate important milestones. What once seemed unusual may eventually become more common. Perhaps that is what makes Gina's decision so fascinating. It's not just about inviting an ex-husband to a wedding. It's about redefining what healthy family relationships can look like after divorce. It's about demonstrating that past conflicts do not always have to dictate future interactions. And it's about prioritizing the people who matter most, especially children. Whether guests ultimately see the invitation as brave, awkward, inspiring, or surprising, one thing is certain. Gina's wedding will likely attract plenty of attention. And if Matt does attend, the moment could become a powerful example of how relationships can evolve over time. Not every former couple could make it work. Not every family would choose the same path. But for Gina, Travis, Matt, Britt, and their children, the goal appears simple. Celebrate a new beginning without forgetting the family connections that helped shape the journey. Perhaps that's not a recipe for disaster after all. Perhaps it's a sign of how much growth can happen when people choose cooperation over conflict and focus on what truly matters. Part 2. One of the reasons Gina Kirschenheiter's wedding plans have generated so much discussion is because they challenge a common assumption about divorce. Many people assume that once a marriage ends, meaningful friendship between former spouses becomes impossible. Television, movies, and celebrity headlines often reinforce that idea. Former couples are frequently portrayed as rivals. Disagreements become public. Tensions linger. Awkward encounters dominate the narrative. As a result, many people have come to expect conflict whenever ex-spouses are involved. Gina's situation offers a different perspective. Instead of emphasizing the difficulties of her divorce, she has increasingly focused on the progress that followed. That doesn't mean the journey was easy. Far from it. Building a healthy co-parenting relationship after a difficult separation requires patience, communication, and effort from everyone involved. It also requires a willingness to move beyond past mistakes. For many former couples, that process can take years. In Gina and Matt's case, fans of the Real Housewives of Orange County have witnessed portions of that journey unfold publicly. Viewers watched moments of conflict. They saw difficult conversations. They followed emotional storylines involving family, parenting, and personal growth. Because so much of the story played out in front of cameras, audiences developed strong opinions about the relationship. Some believed reconciliation in any form would never be possible. Others hoped the two would eventually find common ground for the sake of their children. Over time, the second outcome appears to have become reality. Rather than attempting to rebuild a romantic relationship, Gina and Matt focused on creating a functional partnership as parents. That distinction is important. Successful co-parenting does not require former spouses to become best friends. It doesn't require them to erase the past. Instead, it often involves establishing mutual respect, clear communication, and shared priorities. For Gina and Matt, those shared priorities seem to revolve around their children. Again and again, Gina has spoken about the importance of providing stability for her family. That goal appears to influence many of the decisions she makes. When discussing her wedding plans, she has repeatedly framed the situation through the lens of family rather than personal history. To Gina, Matt is not simply an ex-husband. He is also the father of her children. That role remains significant regardless of what happened in their marriage. Many people who have experienced divorce understand this perspective. The romantic relationship may end. Parenthood does not. School events still happen. Birthdays still happen. Graduations still happen. Family milestones continue. Parents often find themselves sharing important moments long after a divorce is finalized. For some families, those interactions remain tense. For others, they gradually become more comfortable. Gina's story suggests that comfort can increase over time when people commit to cooperation. Of course, inviting an ex-spouse to a wedding involves more than just the former couple. Friends and family members also play a role. Guests bring their own opinions, memories, and expectations. Some may celebrate the decision, others may question it. A few may feel uncertain about how to react. That variety of reactions is completely normal. People tend to view relationships through the lens of their own experiences. Someone who has maintained a positive relationship with an ex might see Gina's decision as perfectly reasonable. Someone whose divorce was particularly painful might find the idea difficult to imagine. Neither perspective is necessarily wrong. They simply reflect different experiences. What makes Gina's situation unique is the visibility surrounding it. Most people make family decisions privately. Reality television personalities often make them publicly. As a result, choices that would normally be discussed among relatives become topics of national conversation. Every detail receives attention. Every comment generates headlines. Every decision becomes subject to public debate. That reality creates additional pressure. Imagine planning a wedding while thousands of strangers analyze your guest list. Imagine explaining personal family decisions to people who have never met you. It would not be easy. Yet public figures face those challenges regularly. For Gina, the scrutiny appears unlikely to change her approach. Based on her public comments, she seems comfortable with the decision and confident in the relationships she has built. That confidence may stem from the support she receives from those closest to her. A major factor in this story is the role of Travis Mullen. Whenever an ex-spouse is involved in wedding planning, people naturally wonder how the future husband or wife feels about the situation. In many cases, discomfort or jealousy could create tension. But Gina has indicated that Travis supports the blended family dynamic they have created. That support matters. Healthy relationships often depend on trust. If Travis trusts Gina's intentions and understands the importance of maintaining positive family relationships, the invitation becomes easier to understand. Rather than viewing Matt as a threat, he appears to view him as an important part of their extended family structure. That perspective may seem unusual to some observers. However, blended families often require unconventional approaches. Traditional family models don't always reflect modern realities. Many households today include step-parents, co-parents, former spouses, and extended support networks. Success often depends on flexibility and communication. Gina's situation highlights that evolution. Instead of trying to force relationships into outdated categories, she appears focused on creating arrangements that work for the people involved. Whether everyone agrees with her choices is another matter. Criticism remains inevitable. Some observers argue that boundaries should be stronger. Others believe former spouses should maintain greater distance. A few worry that including an ex in such a personal celebration could create unnecessary complications. Those concerns are understandable. Relationships are complicated. Family events are emotional. Unexpected situations can arise. No plan is completely risk-free. Yet supporters point out that avoiding discomfort is not always the best solution. Sometimes growth occurs when people navigate difficult situations successfully. Sometimes relationships become stronger when individuals choose cooperation instead of avoidance. For Gina, the wedding invitation appears to reflect that philosophy. Rather than allowing the past to dictate the future, she seems focused on building new traditions, new expectations, and perhaps a new definition of what family can look like after divorce. Another interesting aspect of the story is what it reveals about forgiveness. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many people assume forgiveness means forgetting what happened, or pretending problems never existed. In reality, forgiveness is often more complicated. It can involve acknowledging past pain, while choosing not to let that pain control future decisions. It can involve setting boundaries while still maintaining respect. And it can involve recognizing growth in other people. Whether or not Gina views her relationship with Matt through that lens, her actions suggest a willingness to move forward. That willingness resonates with many fans. People enjoy stories about growth. They appreciate examples of personal development. They like seeing relationships improve rather than deteriorate. Those themes help explain why this story has attracted attention beyond reality television audiences. At its core, the situation is relatable. Many families face similar challenges. Many parents struggle to balance personal emotions with family responsibilities. Many people wonder whether positive relationships with former partners are possible. Gina's story doesn't provide universal answers. Every family is different. Every relationship is different. But it does offer an example of one approach. An approach based on communication, cooperation, and a focus on children. Whether that approach ultimately results in a perfectly smooth wedding remains unknown. No wedding is completely free of surprises. No family gathering is entirely predictable. But if Matt attends, the moment may symbolize something larger than a simple guest list decision. It may represent years of effort, years of growth, years of learning how to work together despite a difficult past. And that achievement may be worth celebrating in its own right. As wedding planning continues, fans will undoubtedly keep watching for updates. Will Matt attend? How will guests react? What role, if any, will he play in the celebration? Those questions remain unanswered for now. But one thing is already clear. The conversation surrounding Gina's wedding has become about much more than invitations. It has become a discussion about family, forgiveness, co-parenting, and the possibility of building healthy relationships after divorce. And for many people, that conversation may be even more interesting than the wedding itself. Thanks for the watching and subscribe.